Alright everyone, so let's summarize what we've learned so far in XPath. So we learned that in XPath we can select any element by using the double slash and then the element name. For example, if we want to select all the divs in an HTML web page, we use double slash div. Next, we learned that we can also target elements by the class attribute or ID by adding two square brackets, @, to call an attribute, whether it's an ID, class, or any kind of attribute, and then the target attribute value, of course. So these are the two attributes we use most of the time, and in addition to that, we learned how to select an item based on its position. More specifically, we learned two ways of doing this. For example, if we want to select the first list item from a UL element, we can use double square brackets and then 1. However, if we want to select both the first and the second list item, we have to use the position function plus the OR logical operator. And in contrast to the OR logical operator, we have the AND operator. For example, if you want to select only the first list item, and this first list item should contain the text hello, so we would write position equals to 1 and contains text hello. So if one of these two conditions fail, the XPath expression won't return anything. Next, we learned about the starts with, contains, and ends with functions. Starts with is used to search for a text at the beginning. Contains is used to search for text in between. The position doesn't matter in this case. And finally, we learned about the ends with function, which is used to search for a particular value at the end. However, it's not supported in XPath version 1.0, which is the one used by most of the browsers and LXML itself. Now, something I want to make you aware of is that in XPath, everything we write between square brackets is called a predicate, which is like a condition, okay? So these are pretty much the basics of XPath, and more importantly, we learned how to navigate in the HTML tree, whether by going up or down, by using what we call XPath axis. And the syntax is pretty much like this. So we specify the axis name, double colon, and then the target element we are looking for. So to go up in the HTML tree, we learned 4 axes. The first one is called parent, which will basically return the parent of a specific element. Secondly, we used the ancestor axis to get the parent and grandparent of a specific element. Thirdly, we learned about the preceding axis, which will return all the elements that are listed before an element, excluding its ancestors. And lastly, we learned about the preceding sibling axis, which will return the siblings or the brothers of a specific element. Now, in contrast, we learned how to go down too. We learned about the child axis, which will get us the child elements of a particular element. We learned about the following axis, which will return all the elements that are after the closing tag of a particular element. And in addition to that, we learned about the following sibling axis, which will return the elements that are after the closing tag of an element. And lastly, we learned about the descendant axis, which will return the children and grandchildren of an element. So this was a summary about what we learned in the previous video, and make sure to solve the assignment I'm gonna add after this video.